1 in 3 Brits believe that ghosts exist, and apparently 39% of Brits believe that houses or places can be haunted. If you'd like to hear about some of the most haunted places in the UK, stick around. What's up, guys? It's Amanda. If you're new here, I'm an American living in England and have done for years now. I post videos about my life and experiences in the UK, so if that sounds like your thing, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out. Today, we're doing something a bit different. I came across an interesting article about some of the most haunted places in the UK. So I've done a bit of my own research, and there are a lot of spooky places, which I suppose isn't surprising with all of the rich history around us. So because of that, I narrowed it down to the top 5 most haunted places in the UK, and it's worth noting that they're in no specific order. But before I get started, what is the scariest place or story that you've ever heard? Put it in the comments below. The story of the PENDLE witches are to England what the Salem witch trials are to the US. The trials were held at LANCASHIRE Castle, which was in 1612 after 12 residents of Pendle Hill were accused of murder using witchcraft. Events led to the trial where local people dying of mysterious illnesses, milk turned blue, and cattle died without a mark on them. And most of the accused ended up hanged, and one actually died in prison. One of the things I find most fascinating about the whole thing is that the key witness was a 9-year-old girl, and because of her testimony, her mother, sister, and brother were executed, which is absolute madness. She was just a baby. So it's no surprise that the hills are thought to be haunted. People have reported seeing and hearing the ghosts of people who lost their lives in the trials, as well as the spirits of children and people who have landed there after their planes bombed in the war. And apparently, during an experiment using a Ouija board, an old tooth belonging to a 40-year-old adult fell onto the board, and no one knows where it came from. Of course, we don't know if it's all true or not. They're just stories. Or are they? I've walked past the Tower of London so many times, and I never knew that some people claim it's the most haunted place in the UK. Up until 1952, the tower was used as a prison for people who were disliked or disloyal to the British royal family, and a lot of times the prisoners were executed in a horrifically public event. But there are 13 ghosts that most people often report seeing in the castle, but the ones that I find to be the creepiest were the White Lady, as no one knows who she is, and her presence apparently brings this overwhelming smell of cheap perfume, so strong that it made several people sick. The 2 princes, whose bones were found under the stairs, are supposedly seen walking around wearing nightshirts, holding hands, and giggling to each other. And if that wasn't enough, people have also heard animals, including monkeys, lions, horses, but only one has actually been seen. And that is a grizzly bear. A guard at the tower claimed that he saw one and it charged at him. He tried to kill it and he failed, and that man ended up dying 2 days later. But probably the creepiest one in the tower is the gallery that houses Henry VIII's armor. People entering that room have felt a crushing or almost smothering feeling on them, and guards claim they have been choked. But it all ends as soon as they leave the gallery. Weird, I know. It's definitely on my places to visit, as I've never actually done a tour. It's often referred to as one of the most haunted houses in Britain, and rightly so. The ancient Raymond lies where 2 ley lines kind of intersect, one of which goes through Stonehenge. And ley lines are thought to be of spiritual significance, and the inn supposedly feeds off the energy produced by them and by Stonehenge. And people who have visited this property have described it as the scariest place they've ever been to. It's supposedly home to over 20 different ghosts, demons, witches, and orbs. Paranormal investigators have photographed orbs, and strange lights have terrified visitors, but the bishop's room is considered the most haunted in the inn. The most evil spirits reside there. People have claimed that they've been attacked and thrown across the room. So as you can imagine, it's no longer open for guests to stay overnight. However, you can book ghost tours if you want to experience the paranormal for yourself. Whether you believe in it or not, I wouldn't want to spend the night there. No, thank you. The castle is now used as a youth hostel, but I don't recommend it if you want a good night's sleep after reading about the place. It was used as a courtroom, and there are notches on the stone of the fireplace from being struck by a sword whenever someone was sentenced to death. Those awaiting sentence and those who have kind of been convicted already would be kept in the prison room. Visitors have reported an overwhelming feeling of oppression. Some guests have reported leaving midway through their stay because of it. But some of the spooky things that people have reported include their clothes being pulled by unseen hands, the sounds of crying babies, humming, scratching, and even shadows that block the doorways and exits. Some people have even reported the sensation of being pinned to their beds, unable to move, which would be absolutely terrifying. This beautiful village was in the Guinness Book of World Records as Britain's most haunted village because at least 12 apparitions roam the houses, pubs, and streets in Pluckley. It's been on TV shows like Most Haunted and Ghostly Legends, which sparked loads and loads of people to flock there to check out the paranormal for themselves. One of the most famous ghosts people claim to see is the Red Lady. She haunts the local churchyard searching for a stillborn baby, and she always has her little white dog with her. There's also a phantom horse and carriage, the highwayman, and the screaming woods come alive at night with the screams of people who got lost and died there. Probably not somewhere I'd want to go for a midnight stroll. If you fancy a pint, I wouldn't recommend the Black Horse Pub. It sounds pretty creepy. Apparently, a little girl was killed there, so she goes around pulling people's hair, so much so that left a doll upstairs and hopes she would play with it instead of them. But the thing that strikes me the most odd about Pluckley is it isn't just one building or place that's haunted. It's like the whole entire village. So I'd be curious to know if you've ever been there or would you ever, because I'd love to hear about your experiences if you have. There are so many places that I didn't mention because frankly there are way too many. Some I would love to visit and others not so much. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, the history and stories behind it are so fascinating, and it does make you wonder what's out there. Don't forget to let me know what the scariest place or story that you've ever heard, and put it in the comments below because I love hearing from you guys. As always, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel, smash that like button if that's what you're into, and I'll see you in the next video.